Good morning, children. Today's class we are going to learn about the respiratory organs. Children, as you know, respiration is a chemical process of breaking down glucose into energy to carry out life processes. It requires oxygen. The oxygen reaches to our cells through various organs. The respiratory system consists of air passage and the lungs. For the passage of air, nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, and bronchi are involved. Let's study about them. The first part is the nose, which has openings called nostrils, and the nasal chambers, which are separated by a cartilaginous septum. The hairs present in the nostrils prevent the large particles from entering the system. Two nostrils open into a pair of nasal chambers. The inner lining of the nasal chamber performs three functions. It warms the air as it passes over. It adds moisture to the air. Its mucus secretion entraps harmful particles. So we must always breathe through our nose and not through the mouth, as nose purifies the air. The nose is also a sense organ. It performs the function of smell. The next is pharynx, which is the back part of the mouth. It has two openings, one for food pipe and the other for windpipe. The entrance of windpipe is guarded by a flap-like structure called epiglottis. It covers the opening of trachea. When we swallow our food, due to the incomplete closure of epiglottis, sometimes the food enters into the trachea and we start coughing to bring back the food into the mouth. So, children, we should never talk while eating our food. From pharynx, air enters into the larynx. Larynx or the voice box is a hollow cartilaginous structure located at the start of the windpipe. It contains two ligamentous folds called vocal cords. When we expel out air, the vocal cords vibrate and sound is produced. All animals are capable of producing different kinds of sound. We human beings are capable of converting the voice or sound into speech, giving it character by the complex movement of lips, cheeks, tongue, and jaws. Now, the air enters into the trachea, which goes down. The anterior part of the trachea has thyroid gland. The trachea is composed of C-shaped cartilaginous rings which provides flexibility and keep the trachea distended permanently. Close to the lungs, the trachea divides into two tubes called the bronchi, which enters into the respective lungs, where it divides into secondary, tertiary, and finally into very fine tubes called bronchioles. Each bronchiole enters into thin sac-like structure called alveolus. The alveolus is very thin walled and surrounded by blood capillaries, and it is here the gaseous exchange takes place. The oxygen combines with the hemoglobin of the blood, which takes it to the cells of the body, and carbon dioxide from the blood moves out into the alveolus and expelled out of the body. The inner lining of the trachea, bronchi, and bronchioles are made up of ciliated epithelium which traps the harmful particles present in the air. Lungs are a pair of spongy and elastic organs formed by the air sacs, their connecting bronchioles, blood vessels, etc. The two lungs are cone shaped, tapering at the top and broad at the bottom. The left lung has two lobes, whereas right lung has three lobes. The left lung is smaller than the right lung to accommodate the heart in between. Each lung is covered by two membranous structure, the inner pleura or the visceral pleura and the outer pleura or the parietal pleura. In between the two pleural membrane, pleural fluid is found which provides lubrication for the free movement of the expanding and contracting lungs. The lungs are located in the thoracic cavity guarded by ribs which they are located to the inner surface of the thoracic wall and their lower base closely rest on the diaphragm, which is a muscular sheet separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. It helps in the breathing process. Now let's see how the blood supply takes place in the lungs. Heart is the organ which supplies oxygenated blood to the entire body and receives deoxygenated blood from the body. It has four chambers. The upper chambers are auricles and the lower chambers are called ventricles. The auricles pump, the right auricle pumps all the deoxygenated blood received into the right ventricle, which in turn pumps it into the two lungs through the two pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery divides into two, reaches the two lungs. Inside the lungs, they divide and redivide several times to form capillaries, which surrounds the air sacs and where the gaseous exchange take place. The capillaries join and rejoin to form veins called pulmonary vein. The two pulmonary veins from each lung pour oxygenated blood into the left auricle of the heart, which pumps it into the left ventricle. From the left ventricle arises aorta, which branches into several arteries to supply oxygenated blood to every part of the body. So, in this way, the blood supply takes place in the lungs. So, children, that's all for today's class. Thank you and have a great day.